What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today we're here to talk about just some brand new mechanics that are coming with version 14.1. I did briefly touch up on this when 14.1 went live and I did my live stream, and we kind of went through some of the new gimmicks and the new information, you know, the new Chopper Man missions, all of that stuff. We talked about that in my initial reaction to 14.1 when the update went live. However, now we have a little bit more information as some additional stuff that is going to be coming very shortly that just leads us to believe that there might be some interesting mechanics to be looking forward to once we reach the 10th of August, which, as we know, is going to be the next Super Sugo Fest. Very much looking forward to that. So this is the Grand Feast Sugo Fest that was just announced here at news time today. August 10th is when it actually starts, which is the same day as the anniversary itself. So basically, not anniversary, should I say? The Cold Quest is going to be ending on August 10th, I believe, which is the same day as the Super Sugo Fest. It's not an anniversary, it's just a Super Sugo Fest, okay? Don't get it twisted. But it is interesting that the same day that this new Hiyori is going to be basically revealed, you can't actually get a hold of this unit straight away, because obviously you need to do the pulls, and then there's like a ranking period, and then you can collect the pulls that you got from your Grand Feast Sugo Fest. But this Hiyori brings out some very interesting stuff. You can also super evolve the Hiyori from picking up the skulls in the recent Kizuna Clash, or the next Kizuna Clash, should it say, which is going to be in August, which is no real surprise there. So of course you have the base form of Hiyori, which is the character that you're going to be pulling for on the Grand Feast Sugo Fest. I don't really want to talk about her abilities. We're going to just look at the super evolution form of the character. So when you get the unit and you get the skulls from the Kizuna Clash, you get this form of Hiyori with the full artwork and stuff. Let's go through all of her abilities, because she brings out some very interesting stuff. So she is Int Cerebral Free Spirit, Captain ability, Int Cerebral Free Spirit, 1.3 recovery, 4.25 attack, 5 times attack with a Wano slot, 2000 heal per turn, and also removing Bind by 2 turns and Burn by 2 turns. So you know, it's a bit of a weird one. You know, only the big attack boost with Wano slots is kind of a shame. She does have ways to generate that, which we'll talk about in just a moment. In terms of crewmate abilities, nothing too crazy. She does generate Wano slots for your middle row only. And one thing I guess that's kind of interesting is that when we had the Grand Feast initially revealed with Yamato, when she came out as the first co-op, like, exclusive character, that unit, you know, obviously debuted, and her support could attach to characters that inflicted damage reduction, if I remember correctly, which at the time, in terms of the new units that came out, the new Roger could actually have that Yamato attached to her. Now, it makes me just think, like, what if this character support is going to be attaching to one of the new Super Sugo Fest characters that debuts? If that's the case, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed, because have a look at the supported characters that she attaches to. All of the scabbards, as well as any of her family members. Also, Yamato is included. So if that is the case, and one of these units potentially being the next Super Sugo Fest, dude, I would be so upset. I just do not want to go back to Wano anytime soon. I really hope that isn't the case. But this character support says once per quest, if you use the character special, changes the supported character's Wano and block slot to tandem, ignoring the ability to change Wano slots, as well as a 0.7 chain boost. This is a very good effect that you can have on your crew. Being able to generate a tandem slot through Wano is incredibly powerful, as, you know, sometimes you can get a full board of Wano, but sometimes you need at least one tandem slot, obviously, to trigger a super tandem effect. And being able to generate that from a support is very unique. Only character in the game that can do that with a support, as well as also generating a chain boost, and it's very easily activatable, as you just need to use the character special. So overall, that's very good. Now, let's actually talk about some of these new mechanics here. Let's have a look at this special. By the way, she does have double special launch, which is big. So her special ability on launch will go ahead and remove Despair and attack down by 3 turns. But then she has a different effect if you already have this buff applied. If you don't know what this buff is, it is anytime you have a buff that changes a certain slot into another slot. Like V1 Odin, for example, his special ability changes strength slots into Wano. This character also does this, which we'll talk about that first. So when you launch the special, it says that, it says for 1 turn, boost Int Cerebral, Free Spirit, characters attack by 2.25 for 1 turn, makes the crew's Psi slots into Wano slots for 1 turn. So this is her effect. So you use her special, you get an attack boost for Int Cerebral Free Spirit, and then you get Psi slots become into Wano for 1 turn. But because she has double special launch, you'll get that orb buff, which means you'll get the other effect, where it says that if you launch a special and you have that orb change effect when you launch it, it heals the crew by 15,000 HP, boosts the chain multiplier by plus 1.2 for 1 turn, and here's where things get crazy. Applies the territory buff, the territory cerebral class to the field. It mentions in the bracket here, boosts the crew's attack by up to 1.5 times and reduces damage taken by up to 25% based on the number of characters matching the territory for 1 turn. So this is wild. This character just random free-to-play unit applying a brand new mechanic into the game called Territory, and it specifically mentions it's for the Cerebral class, and it says you can get a free 50% bonus and 25% damage reduction. Like, that's wild, dude. Just them randomly adding a new mechanic into the game that can increase our damage and provide damage reduction effects. This is wild, but it does go a little bit further, as if we actually dig into the game's information, we can actually get more information about how the territories actually work. So if we actually go over to the Adventures Information tab in the menu, you'll actually see that there is a brand new tab for territory, so we can then go through this info here. It says when a territory effect is applied on the field, it will boost the affected crew or enemy with effects such as attack boost and damage reduction. So territory, while we see with this brand new Hiyori, is a beneficial effect for our crew, apparently there are going to be effects in the future that will be applied on the enemy side of the field, which gives them bonuses. So that is kind of annoying too, because remember, not only does it increase their damage, but it also provides damage reduction, which means if the enemy has this, they do more damage to you, and they will also take less damage. So it will be interesting to see how this gets applied. So furthermore, it says territory effects applied on the crew will appear in red. The effect will apply to all characters on the crew, with the magnitude of the effect scaling based on the number of applicable characters that are in the crew. And of course, you can't have a Treasure Cruise update without a typo, excluding support characters. The attack boost effect. So this is what you've got the breakdown here. So for the cerebral effect that we saw with Hiyori, she mentioned that you can get up to a 1.5 times attack boost and damage reduction effect. Right here it states that in order to get that bonus, you need a full team of cerebrals to get Hiyori's buff. But of course, you know, if this comes out in the future with any other type of effect, this is the same thing that we should be expecting. So if you have a full team of a certain class, you're going to get that buff. But of course, if you don't have that, it will be a sliding scale. So it actually is quite a big jump from like having 5 characters to 1.35. One additional unit going from 1.35 to 1.5 is a big deal. And it also mentions if you only have 1 unit, you don't actually get the buff at all. You need to actually get 2 units on the crew to get a 5% bonus, which is not really that significant. But what this, like, when I first saw this and saw how this was being implemented, the one thing that came to mind is characters that have innate abilities to transform the classes of your crew. So characters like the Zoro and Sanji dual unit Super Sugo Fest exclusive, that unit with this buff, if you can imagine they bring out a territory for slashes or free spirits, having that to change all of your characters into that class, and then all of your characters will benefit from this bonus effect. So that's the immediate thing that I went to. That would be insanely broken. But, you know, you've got other characters like the 10th anniversary units, Luffy, Shanks, and Ace. They do have an effect that can change certain class characters into the class that they boost. So that could also provide benefits in this scenario here as well. And of course, you got damage reduction as well, scaling based on how many units you have. If you've got the full set, you get 25% damage reduction. Damage reduction isn't as key in Treasure Cruise as the attack bonuses are, because typically if you need to tank damage, you would be using certain special effects or supports in order to tank that hit for you. Usually, damage reduction in this type of manner isn't super important. Of course, it is important in some scenarios, but most of the time, you're going to be using territory buff for the attack bonus. So let's see what else it says. During co-op quests, the territory effect will also apply to the partner player's crew. Also, the count of how many applicable characters to determine the magnitude of the effect is done separately per player. This is a big deal. The fact that you can have a territory buff, and if you coordinate with your partner in co-op quest to say, hey, we're going to be building a full cerebral team here, and you can have, you know, one character or one person having this territory buff, and it applies for both sides of the field, for both you and your partner. That is really, really cool. It does, you know, add an additional element to the team building process of co-op quests. So I do actually like this, that it does apply in this manner. The thing is, though, is that as we know right now, Hiyori's, you know, territory buff only lasts for 1 turn. So you can't really get amazing benefits out of this. I feel like the most beneficial use for the territory buff is enabling you to kill the mini-map bosses, like the bosses before the final boss is what I'm trying to say. The mini bosses. The territory buff will be most beneficial in that scenario. Yes, it does give you more damage for the final boss, but typically it's those mini bosses, especially on Infinitum C, that not only just are extremely tanky, but also can do pretty decent damage to you as well. So having a territory buff to reduce damage and deal more damage to them, I think makes a big difference. Moving on, enemies' territories will affect and appear in blue, and it will apply to all enemies. Attack boost effect up to 2x and 66% damage reduction. Why do enemies get the more broken one? That's so stupid. 2 times attack bonus and 66% damage reduction. That's pretty significant. So I would think, I mean, again, we'll continue, but just thinking about this, I would think that territories can kind of clash with each other, kind of like how resistance down kind of works, where if the enemy has a resistance increase, but then you have a resistance decrease, like that kind of offsets it a little bit. We'll see how this actually works. You can also apply multiple territory effects that target different requirements. Their effect will be applied independently. When a same territory effect is applied on the field, one with the longer duration will take priority. That is actually really cool. So that means technically in the scenario of Zoro and Sanji, if you have 2 different territories, one for free spirit and one for slashes, Zoro and Sanji making everyone specifically slasher and free spirit can get the benefits of both of those. And remember, with superclass and EX supers of Zoro and Sanji, they can make both slasher and free spirit into superclasses. So getting not only superclass bonus of 1.2 stats, but then also these territory buffs. I'm just thinking in the future, whenever we get slasher free spirit territories, how busted they're going to be with that unit, because that unit is so good. But we'll have to wait and see, because if they bring out like a brand new Super Sugarfest character that has the ability to inflict a territory but can also change everyone into that class, that's gonna be pretty awesome to see. We'll see what happens though. When crew territory and enemy territory are applied, the one that was applied last will take priority. Interesting. So both you and your opponent cannot actually have a territory at the same time. If you have a territory and then the enemy activates theirs, then it just cancels your one out. But then if the enemy applies a territory and then you apply territory over that in order to do your burst turn, that can actually remove theirs. So that's probably going to be a very interesting way to remove the enemy's territory. Territory is applied on the field. It is not treated as a favorable or unfavorable effect of either sides. That's also really, really cool, because it means that the enemy cannot remove beneficial effects to get rid of this buff, which is a big deal. So it's kind of like a map effect, which is interesting. So we'll see. It'd be cool if they actually update sockets in a way where like map resistance effect actually can kind of bypass enemy territories or something. I don't know, just a tinfoil hat theory. In the future, there may be characters that apply different territory effect magnitudes. So this is also something big as well, because as it stands right now, you can only get up to a 1.5 bonus. So they're saying that in the future, there may be characters that can get maybe a 2 times territory bonus. We'll have to wait and see. So territories seem like a very big thing with this 14.1 update. Briefly, before we wrap up the video, there is actually additional information for the HP guard, which is like, what the hell is HP guard? We have no idea. This is also a new mechanic. When under the effect of HP guard, the following HP reducing effects will be reduced or nullified. That's crazy. So you can have like, it's kind of like a shield on your HP bar that negates HP loss, right? So it affects status effects, which includes poison, progressive poison, burn, super burn, hungry, healing effects converted to damage, converted damage from recovery and similar slots, end of turn damage after certain slot effects appearing, bleed and pain debuff, poison slots as well, bomb and super bomb slots. And then it says also HP reduction of Rush Sugo specials and map damage. That's freaking wild. The fact that you could potentially have, you know, this HP guard and then you can get like the infinite hit of Rush Sugo special despite how much HP you have, that seems very, very good. Applicable HP reduction effects may change without prior notice depending on when the effect of the HP guard wears off after spending a turn and the timing of when the HP reduction effect happens. Certain HP reduction will not be reduced or nullified by the guard effect. Now it does mention here that the HP guard doesn't like always nullify. It says reduced or nullify. So I feel like there is going to be a sliding scale. Maybe it's an effect that you have to level up or something. We don't really know. But this is just an interesting mechanic that's coming into the game. And I just wanted to make a video dedicated to this new territory buff because it has a lot of implications for characters that we currently have. As I mentioned a lot in this video about Zora and Sanji, but also what could we see potentially arrive for this Super Sugo Fest coming on August 10th. Are we going to see a new character in the game that applies a new territory buff, or are we just going to see more free-to-play units have this kind of effect as well? Maybe that's going to be a way to make free-to-play characters used more often if they have territory buffs. Who knows, right? We'll have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts and opinions about this one down below in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.